So let's start to look how we can invert the labels of the scale. So put it on the chart area here while giving this additional space. So let's start to look how to invert the scale into the chart area. First of all, make sure you have the border template, which you can find here on chartjs3.com. Getting started. This link you can find as well in the description box. Once you're on here, just copy this chunk of code and you're good to go. Next, if you want to get the source code of this video and many others, check out my Patreon page. So what we're going to do here, first of all, is let's convert it into a line chart, because that will be the most practical application for it. So we're going to say save this as line. There we are. So what we're going to do is we're going to play around with the scale, because what we want to do is have these numbers inverted in here. Well, to make this really obvious is to increase certain values in here. So I'm going to make sure that these are high level. Alright. So the first thing that we want to do here is want to make sure that this space here will be moved more into the center. And the reason why is we're going to use the mirror item, and then these numbers and the dots will be exactly on the scale. So let me just show you that so it will make sense. So we go on the Y scale, and in the Y scale here we're going to play around with the ticks. And within the ticks, what we're going to say here, we're going to say here mirror. We set it on true, save, refresh. And as you can see here, this of course gives a very undesirable effect. So what I want to do is I want to push this a bit more to the right. To do that, what we need to do is we need to apply this on the X scale here. So we're going to say X scale, comma, and in here, we're going to say offset equals true. Save, refresh. So as you can see here, it starts to look, but we have these weird grid lines, so we're going to clean up a bit more. So what I'm going to say here, I'm going to put a comma, I'm going to pinpoint the grid, and I'm going to remove some of the grid lines. I'm going to say display equals false, removing every grid line that are basically vertical. These are directly attached to the X scale. So the next thing here, as you can see here, this one here should be solved as well, which is on the Y scale, and we need to make sure that we remove all of these attachments here, or the tick marks. So in here, what I'm going to say here is comma, I'm going to say a border, I'm going to say a display equals false. Let's remove first the border line here. There we are. Next, what I want to do is I want to remove these tick marks. So to do that, I'm going to say here, let's look in here, that's in the ticks, put a comma. I'm going to say here, well, let's do this first, show label back drop, and put this on true. What this truly does is, let me save that, refresh, there we are. So what this does is create like a white space behind the label. As you can see here, now it's easier to read this. So that looks quite nice, and if I remove this or set this back on false, you can see here now the line is behind the item. So that's number one. And then finally here, remove these items here. We can do here, put a comma, we're going to say padding, and you can say here, well, if you do 0, let's see what happens. As you can see here, 0 will just make it exactly this, and I want to remove a bit of these items, so I can say probably -3 pixels. There we are. So that's about 3 pixels here. Make it as negative, so I've removed it completely, and now it is nicely inverted like this.